before that. Good evening and welcome to the February 3rd meeting of the Park and Recreation being held on February 10th because of the weather last week. It's 6:35 p.m. and I'll call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is public forum. Seeing no one from the public here, we'll proceed to item number 2, which is any questions or comments with respect to any of the staff and director reports received in your package. Hearing none.
I have one question for Rick.
Sure, ahead.
On number 8, when you talked about the spring sports and field needs and assignments, do you make the list at that time of which fields are going to be pulled out of for play and are going to be worked on
Yeah,
for?
yeah, they know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we go through that. And then I follow up with a letter after we agree on who's using what fields when. I send a letter out to all the organizers of
Sports
sports,
leagues.
yeah.
Okay.
Which I haven't done yet. We have to just finalize that this week.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments about directors or reports?
Nope.
Moving on to item number 3, correspondence. I have a letter here from Anita Cattardi and Stephen Page from the Guilford 375th Committee, thanking the commission on behalf of Guilford's Generations Jubilee Committee. I'm writing to express our gratitude for the selfless assistance given to us during the town-wide celebration held on December 31st. The event had many firsts: town-wide photo, bonfire on the green, fireworks at 8, a community center packed to overflowing, as well as numerous music venues in the churches around the green. Without the assistance of Rick Maiden and his staff, this event would not have been possible. As commissioners, you can be proud of the men and women that worked with us to make this happen. As we enter the 2014 and Guilford's 375th anniversary, hoping for New Year filled with promise. Okay?
Good show.
In addition to that, I got a letter from, with respect to Will Thompson, and we do have an item under old business. We'll discuss this, so I'm just going to submit this, and we'll include it, and no need for me to read it. It's a couple of pages long. And we'll discuss that under item, where was it? I thought it was here. C, Chittenden Park Board.
6C.
6C, sorry. Again, this one I will read. The other one is rather large. It's a letter to Rick from Will Thompson, who was the architect both on the Jacobs Beach project and also on the Chittenden project, which were originally married. As I mentioned in our last meeting, I will need to charge for additional services for the procurement and construction contract administration for the Chittenden Park Trailhead project. I'm estimating these services to cost around some amount of dollars, and we'll talk about this later. This is based upon the selection of one contractor to build the trailhead assembly. The original addition of the Chittenden service was in concert with Jacobs Beach services. The two projects are not occurring at the same time, obviously. As you are aware, we have provided significant additional service on both Chittenden and Jacobs at no charge. I look forward to helping guide the Chittenden project completion on behalf of the town and New England Trail. And that's from Will Thompson. Again, a thank you note. I won't read the whole thing. We'll put it in the minutes. North Guilford Congregational Church of the United States of Christ, thanking the staff here, particularly Larry Santamaria and his entire kitchen staff, who helped the North Guilford Congregational Church with their contribution to the 375th. And I believe that's it for correspondence. Minutes. Anybody have any concerns, questions, or changes to the minutes of the January 6th meeting?
I do.
Judy?
On the, when Mrs. Sullivan inquired naming of this field, because she said the Defkin family were a little concerned it was friends of the Defkin family, not the Defkin family.
What page are you on?
I'm on the second page under correspondence received. About
Paragraph
naming
3
the
from the top.
lacrosse field.
Yes.
Anybody have any problem with that?
No.
So just, I guess, just put in friends.
Move that the minutes be approved with the suggested changes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
Bills? What was the bill amount?
I don't have
The
I have
total
it.
is $92,301.24.
I
no.
move that we approve the bills for the month of January in the amount of $92,301.24. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, bills are approved. Old business, Standing Fields Committee. Keep it quick.
Yeah, I think just the work really that we're going through now is looking to push for a new turf field, another turf field at the high school. And Paul Schmidt and I and other members of the field committee attended the high school building committee meeting a couple of weeks ago and gave a presentation there. And that's kind of the main thing they've been discussing. So they were receptive. They didn't vote that night on to whether to go with a turf field. We give all the reasons, the cost savings over the years, and more importantly, the amount of use. It's about 10 times the use of a grass field. And so we gave some presentation to them, and we haven't heard back if they're going to approve that yet.
Did I hear you hear so many rumors with respect to what's going on. The black box, was that approved?
I believe it was
The
by
black
the
box.
committee.
Okay, so the original thought about they were going to evaluate one or the other and see where they wanted to go, now changed to the black box got approved, and we have to wait to see what's going to happen with the field.
Which,
What is a black
Which-
box going to be?
It's that theater area that's not going to be
Theater.
formal staging where they'll be able to move chairs, tables, whatever in and out, right, for events.
I thought they just approved money to have schematic drawings and things drawn up so they could.
Oh, that might be.
So they could get a.
That might be.
Yeah, I don't know all the
cost estimate.
details of that, because we were just talking about
See,
the
but
field
I had
when we were
heard
there,
different
but I think I had heard that they were leaning toward that also, so.
No, whatever it is.
where,
They
where,
have
which
more info
field
than
are
I do.
they thinking of putting the
It would
turf
be
on?
where the student parking is now. That's where 2 new fields are gonna go. They're replacing the ones that were down in the lower area, where it's field 4 and 5. The high school, the practice football field,
Where the baseball
Yeah,
field
some
went.
Maturo
Those are both
field.
being replaced, and where the student parking lot is, so the push is to have one of those be another synthetic turf field.
Doing good.
The question I had on we had budgeted for replacing that turf field up at the high school in capital, was
Yeah.
it for 2019?
I believe 18, 19. yeah.
18, 19,
Yeah.
so are they talking about accelerating, replacing that high school field before our capital budget was going to be approved for
No,
that?
this would be a new field, an additional.
No, this will be for additional
Yeah.
field on top, so
Right.
not for the additional field or the current field?
Correct, it'd be a
Okay.
second field.
Okay.
Yeah. The other thing, Ralph, which is on the agenda, they discussed, they made a recommendation for the fee for the for-profit Guilford-based groups for the use of athletic fields. And I can talk about that more if you want, when we're under
7A.
Yeah.
7A,
Yeah.
yeah. But that's the other thing we discussed at the last meeting that was of importance to us right now.
Jacob's Beach?
The boardwalk has been completed, and it's buried in snow right now, but, the plan is that they're going to return in the spring, and I think install the, irrigation
Heads,
heads, and
yeah.
then also they'll sod up to where it's, on the edge of the
Exactly.
boardwalk and neaten that up.
I saw it, it really looked good.
It looks great, it really does. It made such a difference, I knew it would be great, but until you see it done,
Yeah.
it really made such a difference. It really completed the visual to see how you can move from one side to the other of the park and how great it's gonna be for people, with limited access or, kids, mothers and strollers, wheelchairs, whatever. So it was great to see it done. The other thing is, I was going to connect with Will in regards to our plaque being put on a boulder, and then come up with a place that we thought was a good place to put that, and then I'll come back to you and, we can vote on it or decide if that's agreeable to everybody.
Yeah, in fact, Will wants to see if we can get together with the subcommittee soon to talk about the benches and bench placement.
That was
Because
the
we
other
think
thing
we
I was
might
gonna
wanna start
mention,
getting that
yeah,
going before.
that would be something that
spring.
we wanted to have ready, so that when the weather's, at that point where we can start to address, getting those benches put in there. I think we had a couple that were dedication benches that, would be
Yeah.
down there.
I think it would be maybe up to 3, I believe. I'd look back at my notes, but I think it might be
We
3
had
of
one
them.
and then 2 were coming in that.
Yeah.
So, once the weather starts to get better, we can start to finish up, but it really looks great, so.
Okay, the Chittenden Park Boardwalk Why don't you fill us in, Rick, on a little bit
Yeah.
what happened there, and then we'll go ahead and take our motion, or we're gonna do that on the 7C.
Well, it's
Yeah,
it's
we'll do
out,
7C
it's
second,
it's
yeah.
out to bid, and we met with the potential contractors last week. It was a mandatory site visit. Anybody who's gonna bid on it has to be there to kind of get an explanation of where it goes and how it's gonna get laid out. And Will led that. I was there, but, it was Will's meeting, basically. And the bid opening is next week, I think Thursday. I have to double check my calendar, but it's next week. And then, assuming we have good bids, we would go to the Board of Selectmen at their next meeting, which I believe is February 18th, ask for awarding the bid. So the idea is we really need to get the project going in March, because there's some restrictions with DEP for nesting birds and things. You have to begin in March with this project. So that's the goal, to start by early to mid-March. And so we're just waiting. Hopefully we have some good bids next week.
Yeah, that's
So-
soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and also just a reminder that the Connecticut Forest and Park Association has set aside $80,000 for this project, so they're funding it. So we're hoping it comes in for that amount or less.
6D, town's 375th anniversary celebration. I read a note of thanks. But again, Suzanne, like the commission did last, thank you for the outstanding leadership and participation. Great job, you too, Jack. Anything else to comment on? Okay. E, Eagle Scout projects, bleacher repair, Jacobs Beach flagpole, and Chittenden Park landscaping.
Nothing new. They're all kind of, I think, just waiting for the weather to clear now. All of them are in process. Their forms all have been filled out, and they've all come to us for approval. So it's just waiting for the weather to break for them to get started on those.
Hold your breath.
That's right. The groundhouse saw it shadow, didn't he?
6F, Lake Quantapug weeds.
I met with Jim Porley and Greg Bugby last week. Jim had spoken with representatives of DEEP with their dam unit, and they're okay with going forward with. They haven't officially approved building the darn. I know that's why you're smiling.
Just waiting.
I know. They've approved it. I'm sorry, they have not. They've approved the concept. It still has to go through design and all that kind of stuff, but technically it can be done. And then and Greg Bugby had said we have to be able to draw down a minimum of 5 to 7 feet, really minimum, to make a difference. And in this meeting, Jim and Greg determined that's about what we can get is 5 feet. Can't get much beyond that, because the south end of the lake where all the lily pads are, that's at a 5-foot level. So
Would be dry, okay.
so if it's deeper north of that, that becomes almost like a dam in itself, because the water can't get beyond that, because it's 5 feet, it's not gonna get over it. So, but 5 feet would make a significant difference. 8 would be better, but 5 would be good. So Greg Bugby has also spoken with people at DEP, and he's trying to set up a meeting with the lake specialist to move forward with that part of it, and make sure we don't have any issues on that end. And Jim is also going to contact somebody from DEP Fisheries, again, to be sure there's no issues they have with drawing the lake down. But the whole idea is to draw it down so we can kill the weeds off in the beach areas, especially for us, but for people who live along the lake, it's going to benefit everybody.
Yeah, it's not only the weeds, so it's, hopefully that'll make some impact with the leaches also.
The leaches
right?
too, yeah. And in addition to that, you know, in our budget, we put in money to do a vacuum dredging of the beach area. And I spoke with the contractor, one of the contractors, today about that. And we're gonna have to get some specs together and get 3 quotes, and then I gotta find out, do we need a DEP permit for that? Because that takes a few months to do. So, you know, our goal is if we have money in this year's budget left over, we'd like to do it before we open this year. If we don't, we'll have to wait till July 1st. But it sounds like a good possibility. If we can get those weeds out of there, it'll get rid of the leaches and be a much better swimming opportunity for people.
Did he give
At
you
least
an
for the
idea
beach.
how long it would take to draw the lake down that level?
No, I mean, I don't know, but the engineer's got to figure that out. And they got to figure out how long it takes to fill back up, because they
Right.
got to make sure there's water in there for a crew team in March, and
Yeah.
and for fishing season when that opens up in April.
What about the cost of rebuilding the dam? Does that have to be factored into what we're doing here right now?
Not for what we're doing, that's something Jim Porley's looking into.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not part of, it's not part of this initial thing that we're gonna do this year at the beach area.
Okay.
So we've got two different ways we're going, trying to get something immediately done and long-term.
Good. The 2014-15 operating budget?
Yes, I want to let you know, the first public hearing with the Board of Finance is March 4th. I think we're meeting on the 3rd, so it'll be the day after our next meeting. And then the second one would be March 6th, so it's Tuesday and Thursday, I think. And what has been taken or cut from our budget at this point from the finance office is the Rollwood Farms chimney pointing. That was $8,200. That's out. $24,000 out of capital for the ball field machine. They're suggesting we take that out of reimbursables. And meals is cut by $10,000. Senior meals. And so that's why we have, under new business, raising
I will
fees.
just make note while we're on camera and screen tonight, we're gonna have some issues with the senior meals. And I had an opinion that I shared with you on how I felt we should, proceed. And we can talk about it individually later on, but there's nothing we can do right now, except fight if we think we really want to go back and put that back in. We're gonna maybe have to be creative and look at the budget in some other places if we decide to do that. So, you may, if you want to discuss that now, it's fine with me. But we did get cut 10 grand. That's why you see these numbers here that you were given. We did do what was asked us to do to provide the town and how much it was gonna cost and how we came up with our projection. So the only alternative we have is to go back to them and say, don't touch that. We decided to take 2 from here, 3 from there, 1 from here, 1,500 from there. So if you think that's an approach we'd like to take, I would certainly have the people, maybe Rick, you can start and then make some suggestions before that March meeting as to alternatives.
I just wonder if they fully realize that for the past 2 years, the reason that meal reimbursement was so low was because of the FEMA money coming in.
And Rick's brought that to their
Yeah,
attention.
and I know he presented that very eloquently at the meeting, but
This
I
was
think
still the
it bears
reaction we had.
repeating.
If I weren't on camera, we can have a talk later on, or after the meeting adjourns. But that's where we are, so, I think as a commission, and I hope you will agree, Rick, take a look at some options we might have, and provide an alternative to that money, if we can. If we can't, then we'll live with the consequences as they come.
Ralph, just to go back to
Yes.
6D for just a very short
Yeah,
time.
sure.
You'd mentioned the New Year's Eve Day celebration on the green. I think the person who was solely responsible for that was Suzanne from our commission. And maybe your son too, I don't know.
No, actually more my daughter.
Oh, okay. So she deserves the sole credit for that.
Oh, okay,
From the commission.
thank you. I stand corrected. We'll say.
No.
All right, 7, new business. Before we go anywhere else, I'd like to take this opportunity to extend my thanks to a newly retired Guilford employee, Phil Demond, whom has served the town for about 30
Over
some
30
odd
years,
years. Was recently the Parks foreman, and I'd like to wish him, and I'm sure the rest of the commission will, the best in his retirement and a happy, healthy future.
Definitely.
7, there was one other thing I was supposed to do too. I'll remember it. 7A, fee for use of town fields by Guilford profit teams,
This was taken up
for-profit teams.
at the last field committee meeting, because, there's a soccer team in town that is branching off from part of Guilford Youth Soccer. I guess Guilford Youth Soccer, my understanding is they're not doing premier teams anymore. And so evidently there is some interest still for that level of play for kids. And so there's an individual who is part of the soccer group that is branching out and providing a premier level team. He has told me that 17 out of 18 kids are from Guilford on the team right now, or that he expects to be on the team. And so they were looking for a field to play, and he asked me a while back, and I said, well, if they're Guilford residents, they have a right to play just as much as anybody who may be part of an organization. That I can't say, no, you can't play on the fields, but I would need a certificate of insurance. Just like, we have some AAU baseball teams that have played on fields that are not part of Little League or, maybe not part of the Babe Ruth group, but have a team, and they're all Guilford kids. So anyway, long story short, we talked about it at the field committee. This individual was at the Spring Fields meeting that I had a couple weeks ago, along with the youth soccer and lacrosse and the baseball, the different levels of baseball. And we all worked out where we have a field that they can use. But the question was, because they're a for-profit team, we thought there should be some kind of fee, just like groups that use this building that are for-profit pay a fee, nonprofits are free. And so the field committee discussed it, their recommendation, because they sort of came up with the initial policy that we all adopted. It was the fees for the use of the fields for non-resident groups, but we never talked about resident groups that are for-profit. That wasn't in that policy. So anyway, their recommendation was, the field committee, that we charge $100 to $200 per season, not per day or per game, but per season, because they are Guilford residents. They're already paying, through tax dollars use of the fields, but they're not a nonprofit group. So their recommendation, they said 100 to 200, basically gave me a little leeway in there, or not me, but the department, the commission, depending on how many games. So if they're, just having one practice a week versus 2 practices or 2 games a week, we would have a little flexibility what we would charge them for the season. So their recommendation was that the range be $100 to $200 for Guilford teams, but that are for-profit teams.
So can you remind me what the fees are for profit groups that are using the facility? And then I also am recalling, we came up against this issue with someone who was wanting to use the beach and charge fees for the beaches. And I remember we had that conversation similar to this then. So can you remind me where we land in terms of the cost for those kinds of programs as well as the
Sure.
programs here?
Well, in here, if a business rents a room here in the community center, it's $30 an hour. Nonprofits are free. So if Little League has a meeting here, tonight, they're free. But if it was a financial planning group or something like that, they pay $30 an hour.
Okay.
Yeah. The one you were talking about with the beach, I think we ended up doing, I believe it was 15% of whatever. And that's what we did with some of the camps, like the private camps that are for-profit
15%
camps.
of their profit, or of their registration, what is
Yeah, 15%, like the,
the registration fee?
yeah, so we sponsor the Ray Reed soccer camp. He's the coach at UConn. We sponsor that camp during April vacation.
Yeah.
Everson, the Brazil soccer camp, runs our summer camp for us. We contracted him to run it. With both those groups, is 15% is what we get.
Okay, got it. So what would be akin to 15% in this case? 15% of their registration fee to the coach,
I guess, yeah. I mean, I have no idea what their fees are. I guess we can find that out.
I mean, for me, I just love the
It's
idea of
consistency.
consistency
Mhm.
across all the different ways. So that's automatically where I go when I start thinking about how do we assess a fee.
I think what the field committee was thinking, because of the non-resident rate, it's $100 per day. So they're using that, they were basing it on the $100 that we charge for non-resident teams. And the only time that really happens is Soccer Fest, because most of the teams that come in from Soccer Fest, or a big percent of them, are not Guilford teams. And so the fee is, it's $100 per site, not per field. So if they're a Cavalier, there are 3 fields, it's $100 for Cavalier, it's not for every field. The Soccer Fest ends up paying us based on the number of fields over the weekend. It might be $800 or something, and that goes into the field, the maintenance account. So again, I think they were just basing it on what we do with the non-resident groups and using that $100, but not doing it per game. But how about per season? Because they are Guilford residents.
Sure. So this would be a similar per season, but just be 15% of whatever the
We could do whatever way you
registration
guys feel is.
I mean,
Yeah,
for me,
for
it's-
consistency purposes,
yeah.
I agree.
Mhm.
My approach, I understand where the Fields Committee is coming from. But again, I think we've tried to put policies in place so that we do have some consistency. This is basically, from my perspective, a program that we should charge 15% of whatever his registration fee is. If he's running the camp for 4 or 5 weeks, what's it gonna be, a couple $100 at the most?
Well, it's a league, right?
It's a league.
It's a league,
Premier
yeah.
league.
Okay, so if he uses the fields once or twice a week, and how much of his players, we have to find out how much
Yeah.
his players are paying him
Right.
to play.
Mhm.
And it might be 15% is too much, but I'd like to stay along that line of a policy.
Well, just to give you a quick calculation, if they're charging $1,000 for the players, per player,
Wow.
Would they?
Would they charge that?
depending upon, well, if they include in that, because for every game, they have to pay for referees as well. Okay, uniforms, travel, coaches' fees, and things like that. So even if I just take a simple number of $1,000, that would be, at 15% of that would be $2,700.
That's pretty high.
If you,
I can't
50% of
imagine they're
15%
charging
of
$1,000.
Yeah.
of 18 players.
Oh, times 18 players.
Times 18 players,
Oh.
because they're
We
gonna.
didn't charge, we didn't
We don't
do
know
that
what
with the beach yoga.
No,
that-
I'm just
Yeah,
running the
that-
numbers here, you know.
No, but what I'm saying is, we didn't say how many people were in the class and total it up and charge her 15%, did we?
Yeah, and that's what we do with the Everson soccer. If he's got 200 kids, it's 15% of whatever number of kids they have times whatever they
And
charge.
so for that reason, I do think, I mean, I don't know the numbers, so obviously I don't know what it's gonna end up being. and
So it's
I'm
one
not
team. Let's say he
basing it
does
on
have 18
What kind of
players.
revenue we can generate, I'm talking about consistency.
They-
I'll just draw an analogy. We run the Legion program. The Legion program has, let's take one team, 15 to 20 kids on a team. We pay over $100 a game for umpires. We pay over $60 a box for baseballs. And we use the fields 2 or 3 times a week, and we charge our kids $600. So $1,000 seems a little high to me.
Well, it depends upon how, again, I'm just using a
I'm
rough
just
number
saying.
here,
Could
but,
we,
but
ask-
I've known other teams charge that amount of money.
There are AAU baseball teams that charge $4,000, but you're traveling all over the country.
Right.
Could we revisit this next month, and when
Get the
Rick comes
numbers.
back with the figures, what is the registration fee,
I would
how
pay
many are
$1,000 for my
expected,
kids to
and
play soccer.
and then apply our 15%
Right.
and see where we go with that?
From a travel soccer standpoint, the maximum that you can roster on a team are 18 players. So you can have up to 18, but you can have fewer, but 18 is the maximum that you're allowed to carry. That you
Just
have to
don't know what the
register with the state.
registration fee is what I'm
Right.
saying.
The
So we don't
registration fee
know.
is the key ingredient
Yeah,
in
right.
this one here.
So is it $150 that he's getting per pop? I mean, is it, we don't know.
Well, when my kids used to play Premier Soccer with Guilford years ago, it was, at that time, it was close to $350 to $400, and that was 15 years ago.
It's the price of soccer balls.
I would check and see how much field time they need, you know, I think that would.
We got that already.
We got that already?
Yes, it's one night, it's Monday
One night.
nights.
Now, does this money go into the maintenance of the fields?
Yeah.
Does this balance out for the amount of time and work and that your people put in?
We line the field anyway, no matter who's on it, we
So-
line it once a week, and youth soccer's gonna use it the other nights that they're not there. They're only gonna be there the Chittenden Park is the field that we've assigned to
I
them.
thought most of the fees that we collect go toward the replacing the carpet at the high school.
Anything that's, been on that field, yes, and like the Soccer Fest money
Mhm.
goes there because they use that field too, yeah.
So we'll talk about it next month then.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I'll.
get a
I'll
better feel what he thinks his registration fees are gonna be, and, we may have to either A, go back and modify the policy a little bit so that it's more flexible in what we charge based on the scenario, or if we feel it's still reasonable, based on his numbers and his registration fee for the 15%, we don't have to do anything.
Should I try to get a breakdown of, let's say it is $1,000, like as John says, if a percentage of that goes to referees,
Well, how much percent is going to him? He's not
well,
doing
that's
it.
what I'm saying, is that, should we base it on what goes into the coach's, for lack of a better word, pocket, as
You're
opposed
talking
to?
about the
Net
net.
profit.
net
Yeah, yeah.
profit.
Correct.
Right,
Oh, and that's a simple change to the policy too, because we can change it to be consistent.
Yeah.
50% of the net profit to the organization.
right.
Now, is this
I mean,
team,
then it's getting really complicated, but- I mean.
No, but I was gonna bring up, I was
Yeah,
gonna,
I think
I was gonna
the
bring up the same thing.
consistency.
Right, so I do think that we probably, I think we probably are opening up, which legitimately needs to be, but probably a large can of worms, because, I mean, just to, I guess, who's done that? Talking about, Judy done there? That maybe, in fact, we need to be concerned because, using the beach and charging 50% for the beach might not be as much as a program that's using 3 fields versus 1 field, like Judy's saying, once a week. So, I mean, we might be opening up ourselves to conversation about maybe a more complicated formula, but
But that's
nonetheless,
okay,
I
though.
think we need to, it's something we
Right.
need to do, if that's the case. So.
It's back to things like unit cost,
Right.
There we go.
like we did for
Comes
the
up
senior
every meeting.
meals.
Now, Rick, was this team planning to use Guilford for a home base for home games as well?
Or practices only.
For practices only,
Yeah.
so they weren't going to require a field once a week for
Games.
a home game?
Once a week for practices, and we've already
Okay.
signed them, Chittenden.
Okay.
That might make a difference too, because I was thinking if they've got a full schedule, the wear and tear on the field, if they practice, well, I guess it makes a difference if they're only using it once a week and it's just for practice, rather than a full schedule of games and it gets overused.
I think the key for us to remember is that it's Guilford kids, it's just a different
It's
person
not
who's
our-
running the program.
It's not the
so it's
situation
still
we had
Guilford kids
before,
using the
where a
field.
private owner and kids from anywhere.
Yeah.
But then they sneak on out of town.
Okay, so we're gonna discuss
I'll get
this,
that
we'll keep
information.
the item open, go back and get a sense or a feel for, not the number of participants, I think we got a good feel
Yeah.
for that, but what he anticipates charging the kids to play.
Okay.
7B, we went over this briefly, let's talk about it again. Possible fee, oh no, I'm sorry, discuss possible fee increase for senior meals, Rick?
Well-
First, I'd like to congratulate Terry on her work in achieving the number,
Unit could- yes.
the unit cost of a meal, because I'm sure that wasn't easy to do, but it certainly gives us some good data to begin our discussion. Thank you, Terry.
Yeah.
So I guess if you look at the second sheet, this is, Terry put this together she does this every month, so we know where we are for expenses and revenue and so on. But the number really to look at is where it says net, in the middle there, and go down to where it says $18,808.24. That is, that's what we've asked for from the town for subsidy for the first 6 months. And our budget is $23,000. In 6 months, we spent $18,800. So even just simply, if we just double that for the other 6 months, which is not exactly right, because maybe we do a little less meals in the winter, but I mean roughly, it's $37,000. That's going to cost us our projection this year. And then if you look at, well, actually, look over to the right. You see where it says breakfast? The breakfast money helps subsidize the lunch, okay? Because we do well with the breakfast. And the breakfasts are for anybody. It's not just seniors. Anybody can come and have breakfast. So there's no town subsidy that goes for the breakfast. That's only for the lunch. So we've been pushing the breakfast a little bit more. And I know Barbara's been there with her group after exercise class, participating and helping support that.
That's right.
And she sees me down there buying my coffee and helps support it. And so the money that we, the net revenue from breakfast helps subsidize the lunch. So now if you go to the other page, this is for next year, our estimated food expenses, it's probably a little low based on where we are in the 6 months now, but our estimated cost is about $145,000. Estimated number of meals is 30,000. I think we're at 29,700 last year roughly, so 30,000. So anyway, the current cost per meal is $4.83. We're charging $3 right now. Most meals, some are $4, some are a little bit more. So here's what we did for our projected revenue. Meals on Wheels is about 75% of our clients. So there's about 22,500 meals. Right now, they're paying most of the time $2.75, sometimes $3.25. It varies a little bit what the meal was. I was recommending we just make it level. It's just always $3. So it's not $2.75 this month, $3.25 next month. And that would give us a $67,500. And then the senior meals go from $3 to $3.25. Now, we will still have some $4 meals, which we will charge $4 when we have a $4 meal. But what is currently $3, we go to $3.25. So that gives us a $24,375. And then you see the breakfast subsidy there. I'm projecting that we're going to have $18,000 from the breakfast to help offset the lunch. So then you see how that, you add those up, it comes up to $109,875. So they just subtracted the that projected revenue from expense, and what we were looking for in next year's budget was $35,125. So
And that's the number we submitted, right?
yeah,
And they cut it by 10,000?
yeah, to 25,000. So what I'm suggesting is this sheet here is this is right now
Right.
as of December. We don't have January's in here yet. So you can see that we're heading pretty deeply in the hole. I'm sure, the board, I don't want to guarantee the Board of Select, but I think that if they know that we're not going to stop feeding the seniors. And so I think we're going to have to ask for an additional allocation this year to get through the rest of the year. But what I think Terry and I were recommending is that rather wait till July 1st to go up to 25 cents, we might want to think about doing that sooner, like in April or March. Probably April, because we've got to get it in the newsletter. And so, it's going to help us for the last 3 months. It's not going to wipe out the deficit, but it's been a little while since we went up. I'm sorry, I don't have the exact year. It's probably
It's at least 2 years.
I think, yeah, it went from 275 to 3. I had a brief conversation with one of the representatives of Meals on Wheels to let him know we may be doing this sooner than later. I said, we're going to address it as a commission, and I said, I'd be happy, and I'm sure a commission member would be happy to go to one of their board meetings to give them the justification for it. So I haven't heard when they're meeting yet, so I don't know that yet. But I want to at least give them a heads up. We may have to do this sooner than later, not wait till July, because we're heading in the wrong direction here. So those are the numbers, and I think we're in a position right now where, based on these exact numbers here, which are accurate, we're going to be quite a bit short this year if we don't do something now.
And we
ever
had
hit- I'm sorry.
subsidy?
The
This is
subsidy is
the
23,000.
20, okay. 'Cause I'm seeing Q1 subsidy was 10,000.
Right.
And then,
And then Q2 was 8,349.87. And so the total subsidy right now is right here.
This subsidy, it would be over here in Q2?
Yeah, that's the first quarter and the second
So
quarter.
in other words, so right now, the subsidy, so we have received a subsidy of 10,000, we received a subsidy of 8,000.
Yeah.
And what do we have projected for Q3 and 4?
Well, what we have total, what they've given us total is $23,000, so we only
They've
have,
given us in total 23. Okay, so
right,
there's
so we have
5,000 left.
4,000, yeah, 200 left or
So
something.
For 2 quarters.
being under, right. so-
Yeah.
Got it.
Have we had this situation, I don't recall it since I've been chairman, have we had this situation in the past, and how was it
Well, yeah,
handled?
when Woody, remember Woody did some fundraising, and we were running short, and when Woody Page was on, he raised like $6,000.
He got all the
Because-
contractors to give money.
Yeah, he got a bunch of yeah, he did. And again, I just want to point out, a few years ago, our budget was 32,000, and we got cut down to 23 the last 2 years. And we haven't hit that in the last 2 years, or last year anyway, because of the FEMA allocations that help cover the some of the expenses.
No wishing for hurricanes.
No, I know.
It's not a way to balance the budget.
September,
Shush.
Farmer's
But
Almanac.
that is my question. Historically, though, we have run a deficit on this program for,
Oh, yeah, we always get a subsidy from
we
the
always
town.
get a subsidy
Yeah.
from
I was
town.
gonna
But we
say
haven't
town.
we haven't exceeded that subsidy by
Correct.
by
We have
by
a larger-
100%.
We have a larger subsidy.
Subsidy.
Right,
much
Okay.
more subsidy in the past.
yeah.
Well,
Won't there be another opportunity to make the case for keeping the subsidy at what we requested in the
Yeah,
budget?
at the hearing with the Board of Finance.
Yeah, that's why,
That's why we have good data. I think we should stay with it.
well, we've presented this data to them
We
already.
did.
And willing to present it again.
Right.
And the other opportunity we have is, we all heard before, is, well, Rick is gonna look for some other opportunities
Well, so raising
within the
fees-
line items
Yeah,
of
I was
some
gonna
of our
say, what
budgets
about
now,
that? Yeah.
to kind
Very
of compromise
Yeah,
and.
trying to illustrate, we are also trying to do things to stop the bleeding, you know, by trying to come up with, and Larry's just increasing the price, you can see, Barbara, when you come for breakfast, we're raising some of the price for some of the breakfast meals now, too, a little bit. Not a lot, a little, coffee instead of 50 cents, 75 cents. But we're doing that with the breakfast to try to bring that up a little bit, too, to now also help offset some of this. Ralph, I think Veronica had her hand up, I don't know if you,
What's that?
Veronica had her hand up.
Please.
I was just gonna comment, just that it would be a good idea to go to the public hearing that the board, in front of the Board of Finance, and as a commission, you know, a member or two, and plead your case for
Okay.
keeping the $10,000 in your budget for the Meals on Wheels. And then my other suggestion is that during hurricanes, there was a lot of people that utilized the shelter here, and
Absolutely.
they were very, very appreciative. So perhaps a letter to the editor or something like that, pleading to those folks that took shelter here, that there's a need, you know, I think maybe you could get some donations that way too. And I think there's a lot of people in the community that would be more than willing to,
Yeah, you should talk to Terry
Contribute.
about doing something like that.
yeah,
Can't lose anything, worst that can happen is zero.
yeah.
I would hate to see us raise the senior meals to the point that, that it becomes difficult for the seniors.
They're
who do
not taking
come to pay.
advantage of it, that's the whole point.
Or if they don't come and they stay home. I
Yeah.
think that, because you can see that it's a very social event.
Yeah.
It's not just the meal, I mean, that's.
Right, it's a social event.
It is.
Yeah, it's a connectivity.
And it's the only
of-
high meals that a lot of these seniors get. That's it. Only other thing that we were doing, that Larry's doing, if there are meals left over, we're selling them at the end of the day. He'll freeze them, and then people, you know,
Wanna take
seniors
them
are taking
home
them
with
home and have them for dinner too. And I know in one day alone, he took in $60 for that. So these are all things we're trying to do to offset some of this. And why do we have leftover meals? You know, people were
hard.
calling in the day
Yeah.
before, and maybe, like the one, it was the birthday lunch a couple of weeks ago, 100 people signed up, 85 came.
Right.
15 weren't feeling well that day or whatever.
Sure.
Larry prepared for 100 people, because that's what he expected
Yeah.
were gonna come, and so he ended up selling those meals at the end of the day, so we're trying to make other efforts to bring this back some. We're gonna need a little help.
Okay. So we've got a couple of things that we need to visit and see where we're gonna go from here.
So were you asking for us to approve an increase? in
I was
the meal,
suggesting
or
to
you're
go up
just gonna
20
Go ahead and do it? I mean,
Well, I think I
do we
need approval if you want us
do
to, or not, but,
Well,
and some people have to do it anyway, whether you do it now or July 1st, but it's up to the commission.
So, do I hear a motion?
To help yourself out, I'd do it sooner
Yeah.
than
Yeah,
later.
I'd say
and not
April
get in
1st
a
would give you
real
enough-
To
hole.
give yourself enough time to put it in the newsletter so that
Yeah.
you can
Okay.
make.
Okay,
folks
can I have a
aware.
motion, please?
I move
So-
that we increase the cost of the senior meals from $3 to $3.25, and the
Meals
and
on
the Meals
Wheels.
on Wheels from $3,
$275.
$2.75 to
$3.
$3,
Further discussion?
First,
beginning April 1st. Thanks.
second?
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None.
Thank you.
Sorry. 7C. Enlighten me. Discuss additional fees for contract procurement.
That's Wilt.
Oh, okay.
Is that a scope change, or is that?
No, it's not a scope change, it's because of the lack of concurrence with the two projects. So
Oh, okay.
originally, the
They were
project.
Sorry, I missed that part.
Yes, the Chittenden Park Boardwalk.
They were supposed to be in tandem, but
375th.
they were separated, so.
There's a Veronica gave for her to talk about 375th. I don't know if you want to let her go before you.
Oh, you want me to, I don't.
She said she can wait.
Oh,
Okay, Rebecca,
okay.
thank you.
I think they're trying to tell me that, you know, I was supposed to acknowledge.
Party to the
Well-
party, because I had another meeting.
Well,
so-
before we get into this, to
Yeah.
give you an
Going
opportunity,
back to
please address the 375th.
6D.
6D.
Going
We're
back to
backing up,
6D.
yeah, we're going back
all
in time.
yours.
It's all yours, Veronica. I'm sorry.
No, I had been at a meeting with Rick, I don't know what it is, a couple weeks ago now, and it occurred to me that I had not been before this commission to talk about 375. So I said to Rick, you know, I should come and say hello. And first of all, thank you very much from the 375th Committee for the fantastic effort that Parks and Recreation is doing for us, and in particular Generations Jubilee. I have never, ever seen this building packed like it was that day. Never. It was fabulous. So we probably put a strain on the janitorial staff, I'm sure, and the staff at the front desk, but they were fantastic, and they really did a great job, so thank you. Just for your edification, or if there's any questions, but coming up we have, relative to parks, we have the Guilford and the Civil War event. That's May 31st. That's going to be an all-day event starting at about 11 a.m. With a Civil War encampment. And my meeting tonight just informed me that now instead of one reenactors, I guess that's what you call it, reenactors, there's two companies of reenactors that are coming, so it's really going to be...
One wearing blue, one wearing gray.
Yeah, so that's what we wanted to know. So it's really...
Say more?
You say more?
Okay.
But it's going to be a very more involved, I think a more diverse, more enriching event for both the youth and for residents in Guilford. So I think it's going to be very good. We're holding auditions for... part of what we're doing is in the churches, there are going to be little vignettes going on where letters from Guilford residents that went off for the Civil War. Guilford lost 68 residents in the Civil War. So these are letters from Guilford folks written back to their families. So the subcommittee has worked on getting people to reenact these letters, and they'll be held in all the churches around the green, as well as the reenactment on the green. There'll be a bonfire, and then how things were cooked, how medical, people that were sick and how all that was handled and stuff. So it'll be educational. The following week is going to be our big weekend, I should say, June 6, 7, and 8. That's where Rick and I have kind of come in on this. We're working with that subcommittee on the trails. So there's going to be a lot of paddles, a lot of trails, hiking trails going on, kayak trips, the opening of the New England Trail down at Chittenden Park. Rick and I were talking, we're still trying to figure out where we're going to put tents. We're being very cognizant of the baseball field that's down there, and, trying to keep things as less disruptive as possible. So it's going to be a big event. I hope it's well attended. It's kind of hard to know. We're preparing for a lot of people, and that's what we hope for. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Am I missing anything, Rick? Do I need to bring
Just
up?
wondering, on that day...
Oh, well, the ball is March 29th. That's our next signature event coming up, but that really is not Parks related. That's why I didn't even bring it up. But our next signature event is the Crystal Ball, and that's March 29th. And then May 31st is the Civil War. And then June 6, 7, and 8 is the trails, the opening of the New England Trail, and reenacting of the Guilford Covenant, which will be down on Whitfield Street. We're trying to incorporate as much of Guilford youth as we can. Part of one of our little activities that are going on that weekend is we're coordinating with the Guilford Public Schools to have a mural painting on the, I don't know what you call them, the cement blocks that line Sullivan Drive. So they're going to be all cleaned up, and then they'll be doing murals with the theme of Guilford past, present, and future.
On the stump down on the way to the
Yep,
stump dump?
on the way, yep. So it'll be pretty when you drive into the stump dump.
It's better than, it'll be better than what's on there now.
Right, that's what we're trying to do. So a lot of exciting activities going on. So if I came just to give you an overview and see if anybody had any questions, if there's anything I need to know about, if there's anything you'd like me to carry back to my committee, be happy to do that. Rick and I are pretty much in touch a lot, so.
Ralph, I have one question. I wonder if we want to talk about, on the 8th, parking's going to be big problem down at Chittenden Park. If
Oh,
there are
that's
3 or
right.
4 or 500 people, Jacobs obviously is right there, but do we waive the fee for that? So people, because was it 4 to 6, I think, is going to be the?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, and Jack's on that committee too. And should I maybe block off and not book any picnics down there during that time? 'Cause that's
Yeah.
I
going to
think
take a
that's
lot of
two
parking
great
space.
suggestions.
Yep, agreed.
Yep,
No fee and block it off.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
I mean, where are you gonna get all those cars?
Well,
Yeah,
we're
are you
working
gonna
on that.
shuttle?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
shuttle.
shuttling. We're hiring shuttles like we did for Generations Jubilee. Suzanne was involved in that. We'll be using the parking lot at the railroad station, the commuter lot, exit 58, and Adams Middle School, as well as Adams and
That company.
Calvin Lee have all agreed to allow us, you know, and
Big parking lot, don't
it's sort of hard to know, but we'd rather be, right, we'd rather plan for a big event and have the facilities available than to think we're not gonna get very many people and then be panic stricken when we can't accommodate them.
Yeah.
So, better to be over prepared, so that's where we're migrating to, but yeah, and, we're gonna ask, the owners, I can't think of the name of it, I don't.
Large company there.
Down at the marina, Rothberg Institute, I'm not
Yes.
sure if it's still
Oh, yeah.
Rothberg Institute or not, if we
The
can use their.
biomedical guys, yeah.
Yeah, use their parking lot, so, you know, we have some ideas in place, and we're working with Guilford Police Department and Emergency Services to have, all that in place as well.
And just as a thought, you might want to check with the Guilford Soccer Club to see what they have scheduled for elite for that
Oh, yeah.
weekend.
Thank you.
Because
Is that the soccer,
that venue is usually packed on Saturdays and Sundays.
Yeah,
And that, if you're going to use that for parking for down there, that's going to be a
yeah,
hassle.
okay. That's-
Maybe the Knights of Columbus would be an option.
I think we
instead.
talked about that too, yes. I think, yeah, they very well could be.
That might be a long shuttle ride.
Yeah, fairgrounds, I was thinking.
Fairgrounds, we can't, well, we thought of the fairgrounds, they have the Renaissance Fair
Oh, yeah.
going on. Yeah, so there, you know, there's a lot of, that's part of the beauty, it's sort of like we're trying to, we don't want to compete with other things like the soccer club or Renaissance Fair, it's sort of, we're trying to enhance whatever's going on. But yeah, they have the, and actually June 8th is their last day of the Renaissance Fair. They go the whole month of May and then the first weekend in June.
Griswold.
It will be
Maybe that's an
crazy
option.
downtown that Saturday, because that's Little Folks Fair, but we're working with, we're working with the community nursery school, so,
It's all good.
you know, it is all good.
Our
And,
town
the,
will be buzzing.
We were gonna do our summer sizzler that Saturday. Seriously, guys, we're gonna go the following weekend.
Yeah, we'll go, you know. And then Rick's come up with a great idea about either concert series. We're gonna, I don't know whether he's had a chance to figure all that, but some kind of British invasion, whether it's gonna be the Beatles or the Beatles and the Rolling Stones
Actually,
or
just
whatever.
kind of booked everything today. We're
Yeah.
going, it's called British Invasion. It's gonna be
Yeah.
the Beatles, Rolling Stones, and The Who.
Yeah.
Great.
So
Cut the
that,
last two guys out.
Who?
Rolling Stones, Mick Jagger, my favorite guy.
yeah.
Well, yeah, but they were British, you know, they,
Yeah.
and interestingly, it was.
Could have got Jerry in a pacemaker.
What would you rather have, Chad and Jeremy, or?
Ralph likes the pacemakers.
Oh, now.
There's a little innuendo.
We got it.
In him. That sounds, it all sounds great. I mean, I think it's wonderful.
Yeah,
You guys
it-
are working really hard.
We are, and, you know, it's coming together, and we've been working, March of 2012 is when we first started, so it's sort of very nice now to have it all
See
come
it all
together.
coming together, yeah.
And have things happening, so.
Appreciate your labor.
I thank you for your time,
Oh,
Mr.
thank you.
Chairman, and, you know, if you know where to find me, and Rick can reach me if there's concerns or, you know.
Thank you for the suggestions with the meals too, appreciate it.
Yeah,
Little
because
insight.
I was on the Board of Selectmen at the
Yeah.
time Irene came through, and I volunteered with Rick, the shelters, and I can't tell you the amount of people
Yeah.
that were very, very happy that they had a place to go and get a hot meal. I mean, 10 days without power means a lot to people. So I think some kind of letter reaching out to those folks. I'm sure that people would be more than willing to help make a donation and help subsidize, because there were many Guilford residents that were grateful for that service during that time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks,
So,
Veronica.
thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, thanks, Veronica.
Enjoy the snowfall on Thursday.
Shush. It won't happen. Let's not
I
talk
hope
about
not.
it.
Let's go back, I'm sorry, and thank you for getting my attention. I didn't realize Veronica was here to talk. 7E. And D, C, I'm
Not
sorry.
adding anymore.
Wait a minute. 7C, discuss additional fees for contract procurement and construction administration with respect to the Chittenden Park. And that talks about the additional $2,800
Right.
that was requested for,
Do we go into executive session for that?
do we have to, is that an executive session
I'm
item?
just asking, I mean, you're talking about money you're gonna pay someone? I don't know.
We've
I
talked
mean, is
about
it on the
contracts
public
before
record?
on the air, haven't we?
If it's part of a public contract, then it.
All right, let's, to be on the safe side, we'll go to, I'll skip 7C, and I'll go into executive session, and we'll discuss that last. Okay, we do have, I'll speak to this, do have a new park foreman. We mentioned Phil's retirement before, and Anthony Anicelli, a town employee for many years, who has been basically the right-hand man for the last at least year and a half, 2 years, for Phil. Was part of an interview process. We interviewed 3 pretty darn good candidates, if I remember correctly. And Anthony stepped up, and we've hired him, and I was real pleased with that final selection, simply because from a department perspective, it's nice to see somebody from within get moved up and assume a role and a responsibility, so I was real pleased with that. I can't speak too much to the new seniors coordinator. I wasn't part of that process.
Rose had an interview for that. It's Patty Haggerty, who was a receptionist for a couple of years, and we had quite a few applicants. I think we interviewed 8, I believe.
Wow.
And she was hired for that position, and she's doing a great job already.
Good.
Good, can I have a,
Make a
mo-
motion to move to executive
Ralph,
session.
is the department up to staff with all the custodians now, or?
Custodians we are, yeah. We have one more maintenance position now. When Tony moved up, we've had 30 applications for that position. I just finished going through them today. So we'll be doing interviews pretty soon for that.
just an interest, the gentleman whom we thought would have been, had it not been for Tony, the guy from the neighboring town, was he
He's in
part of the
there.
30
Yeah.
applicants? I mean, theoretically, any one of the 3 guys could have been hired that we interviewed. I was really pleased with the quality of the candidates that we interviewed that day. Did a good job of cutting the list down, so,
Well, Tony made a very effective presentation a couple of months ago at a meeting here, too.
yeah.
I mean, he was very confident, and he knew his facts and figures, and
Plus, his brother is the big man in Madison. His brother is his equivalent or peer over in the town of Madison, right?
No, he's a laborer over there. But he worked for us seasonally, and then there was a position, like Tony's old position here, a park maintenance
Okay.
position. His younger brother's working there, yeah. But they share notes a lot about, how do you guys do this, or where do you get your rice mill?
Yeah, I'm I can't tell you how pleased, because you know what? Again, part of that image that we talked about, I want to get through this real quick, about the new custodian we hired. He presents a different kind of persona when he's in this building and out in the field than maybe we had before. More professional, more,
Very professional,
Yeah.
and I've even had, I passed this on to Ellen, but the other day, a group of women were just so excited how he comes in, he sets up the equipment, he's asking them what can I do, and then they set up the ping pong tables, and they just passed on to me how pleased they were with how willing he is to help and do.
Who is that again?
Anthony Esposito.
Anthony
He was there,
Esposito.
was he there?
Yes, he was there.
Both the guys that were there were fabulous.
Yeah, he was, I think, yes.
Terry.
Oh, he was there.
and-
Terry was later, yeah.
Yeah, both of them were great, and they were very helpful,
Yeah.
asking us what we needed.
Yeah, I think that was his first week, actually.
Yeah.
Welcome to the job.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, I think
So
Sue made a
this-
motion.
I made a
Just-
motion, oh,
This-
go ahead.
It's about this, right?
Yes.
This email?
I don't see that this needs to go into executive session.
No, there's another contract, there's a whole letter.
But, I mean, that's the issue, though.
The issue,
That's-
absolutely, right.
Why are we, I think we need some executive.
Uh,
Do we need to do some executive session?
I just wondered, I mean,
Because we're just
I
discussing.
thought it was personnel issues, not
Yeah.
contracts.
Well, that's only one exception.
well,
There's a few.
There are other exceptions.
There are
Contracts
others, but,
fall into
I mean,
that.
oftentimes contracts.
All right, so to be on the safe side,
I'd be on the safe side.
Sue
Okay,
made a
so I made a
motion.
motion to go into executive session to discuss 7C.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Off camera.
Bloopers.
Welcome back. Complete with executive session. One more item to discuss. That's a request for additional fees for contract procurement and additional construction administration at Chittenden Park Boardwalk. I'd like to suggest that after our discussion, we get a motion to address the situation in the additional request.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the additional cost of $2,800 to Will Thompson for the Chittenden Park Trailhead Boardwalk.
Second?
All in favor?
Any discussion?
Any discussion? Sorry.
That's good. Discussion's fine. My concerns were addressed.
All in favor?
Aye.
So be it. I'd like now to have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So the meeting adjourned at 7:45 PM. Thank you.
I will.